So I wanted to share something with you. I know I wanted to do this before Thanksgiving when you were prepping all your food, but things got crazy and I didn't get a chance to do that. So I'm doing it now because I'm sure you're all still making fresh meals, right? After you got through all the leftovers. So this is something that I do on a regular because I don't like to waste anything. And this is all of my vegetable food scraps. So in the summer, I primarily put them all in our compost. But when it starts to get cooler out, compost doesn't work as aggressively. So sometimes some things I'll put in the compost, but a majority of it I will put into a Ziploc baggie and keep it in the freezer until my bag is full. And voila, with Thanksgiving prep, my bag has been filled. So with this, I make a delicious vegetable stock. It's all food scraps, and because you're cooking and prepping different things all the time, and so you have different things left over, the flavors of your stock are gonna be different all the time, which is kind of cool. So I have a pot with water, and in here I just wanna show you some of the things that I save and I collect. So like for Thanksgiving especially, I use a lot of fresh herbs. This is a rosemary sprig, and most of the leaves have been taken off, but there's still a few on there and it still has lots of flavor even in the sprig. I had a piece of celery that wasn't, it was okay, but it was a little like limp and stuff, so I was like, you know what, I'll throw that in there because that's a really good flavor. What else do I have in here? There's like potato, there's sweet potato skins and pieces and regular potato. I have my kale stems. So, you know, we use the leaves, but we don't use the stem because they're really tough, but they still have a lot of nutrients and flavor. So that's a good thing to add. I also have Brussels sprout ends. You'll see in here, it looks like paper. These are garlic skins. I have onion skins in here as well. Let's see what other goodies. I believe that I put, oh, we don't want an elastic. Oh, I have sage and thyme sticks. Let's see. Oh yes, here it is. So I also saved a couple apple cores because apples add a nice sweetness to your broth. So I thought that would be a good addition. You know, not too many. I had a lot of apple cores and skins left over from making apple pie and apple crisp and all that stuff. So a lot of them found their way into compost, or I boil them down and I make apple jelly, which we've done in previous videos. I do actually have a bag in the freezer right now of apple skins and cores that I save to make my next batch of apple jelly. If you haven't seen that video or that instruction on the blog, I highly recommend it because it's great. You don't need the secret is that apple skins have natural pectin in them, so you don't have to buy pectin, and you just boil it down, add the sugar because that's the natural reaction of the sugar and the pectin, and it makes it gel. And you can add other fruits in it as well, so it doesn't always have to be apple. It can be apple berry, you know, you name it, you can do it. I was thinking apple lavender, maybe adding some lavender essential oils would be really, really yummy. So that's my next batch is gonna have that. Maybe that'll be Christmas gifts. Okay, so I think that, you know, kind of summarizes. There's some parsley, extra parsley that adds a nice flavor. Anytime you can get some fresh herbs in there. I have, you know, my pepper. And so everything just goes right into the water. And my pot is filled. Look at that. Can you see that? We're gonna make that into a stock, so I'm just gonna put the lid on. See if I can make it so that you can see what I'm doing. All right, I'm putting the lid on, and then I'm just gonna put it on the stove and I'm gonna simmer it pretty much all day. And then once it's done, I'm going to strain it so that we don't have any like chunks in there and we just have the broth. And then I'm gonna use it to make soup today, but if you wanted to just make it and have it on hand, you can put the broth into containers and keep it in the freezer. You keep it in the fridge, it'll probably last like I tend to be conservative on it, so like 3 days, maybe up to 5 days before you have to use it. But it's probably better off if you're not going to make it right away. Just pop it in the freezer, so then you have a broth ready to go whenever you want to make soup, or if you're not feeling well and you just want to have broth. And you can also use it instead of water for like cooking rice and things like that. It adds a nice flavor so that it's not as bland. So yeah, give it a try and let me know what you think. And if you have any creative ways to use your food scraps, let us know in the comments, because I'm always looking for fun things to do to keep our food waste down. All right, talk to you soon. Bye, guys. Okay, so I just added some more water because it had been simmering down and had lost quite a bit of water. But I wanted to show you guys. So I have red onion skins that were in here, and just look at the beautiful color of the broth. It gave such a deep color to it. But this is what it's starting to look like. The vegetables are starting to break down, which is great. I have a big piece of cauliflower in there. I want it to break down some more to really get a full, rich flavor. So I'm going to leave it on there to simmer. It's already been on here for probably about an hour and a half. I'm going to leave it on there probably the entire day, really. Keep simmering down. But I just wanted to check in and show you guys. Look at that nice red onion is giving it that great color. So it's kind of fun because every time I do this, it's a little bit different. It has a different color, different flavor. So it's kind of fun. I enjoy that. I had some huge celery root, so pieces from Thanksgiving. I had a big one that I cut up, and this is one of the ends. And instead of agonizing over peeling and cutting off the funny end, I just decided, you know what, that's going to add a beautiful flavor to a broth or a stock. So I saved it for that. All right, I'm going to cover it and keep it simmering. We'll check in. Okay, so this has been simmering all day, and I think it looks good. The vegetables are pretty broken down. I was waiting for it to, simmer all day so all the nutrients can leach out into the broth, because that's the goal, is we want not only the flavor, but we want all the nutrients too, so that we're not wasting anything. We're extracting all that we can from this. So everything is pretty mushy. Sometimes what I've actually done too, and this is something you can consider, if I didn't have like onion skins and some other things like that in there, I would blend up the vegetables and just make it a thick broth. But I do have some things that I don't really necessarily want to be including in our final product. So I'm going to turn this off, and I'm going to bring it over to the sink, and I'm going to strain it. And I do need both my hands for this, so I'm going to do that and then show you what happens after. Okay, so I have the sink all set to go, and I put a strainer inside a bowl because, again, we want to capture all of the broth but keep all the pulp, all the vegetables separate from the broth. So I'm going to go ahead and get my broth, bring it on over, and pour it into my strainer. Okay, so you can see that I poured all of it into this strainer, and it's really hot still, but I'm gonna try and use my wooden spoon and squeeze out all the juice. I wanna get all that goodness. And now you might be saying, well, Alicia, you still have all of this food waste, right? Like, look at all that. It's a lot of food. But the magic is that we've already done some of the breaking down of this food. So we can go ahead and still put this in our compost. It's still gonna help create a wonderful soil, but we've done a lot of the work for the compost. So, because when it gets colder, it gets a little bit more difficult for the compost to break down. So this actually helps it. So yeah, that's exciting. Put that back in my pot. We're gonna bring that out to the compost. And you can see this rich, beautiful broth that we have as a result. This looks amazing. So I'm really excited to make some soup out of this. A lot of times I might dilute it with some water if it's really too flavorful. Sometimes you can have an awful lot of flavor in there, especially if you have more bitter vegetables. Like you can have potatoes can cause a little bit of a bitterness, and I did have broccoli and Brussels sprouts in here, so that can give it a really strong flavor, and asparagus. So try and you can lighten it the way that you want, cut it with some water, that's fine. Season it, lots of seasoning, make it what you want. But this is nutrient dense, so this is a great thing to have on hand in case you start to feel under the weather. It's that time of year, and we want to make sure that we're staying as healthy and well as we can. So this is a great thing to have on hand. Stick it in the freezer, and you'll be good to go. All right. It's great to see all of you, and I hope you try it. If you do try it, let us know. Thanks.